Turkeys, those big New World birds, are often associated with a lack of intelligence. I have no idea why humans feel the need to judge turkeys, but there you go. They'll stare at the sky and drown, dumb as a bag of rocks, and not the brightest crayon in the box. Or so the sayings go. But look at it this way. Modern humans have been around for 300,000 years, give or take, while modern wild turkeys have been around for roughly 2.5 million. They are undeniably successful. So how did they earn this reputation for stupidity? And is it actually deserved? Let's take a closer look at turkey intelligence, the myths surrounding it, and whether any of it holds up on this Suburban Safari. Most of those unflattering colloquialisms come from not understanding turkey behavior. Take standing in the rain, for example. Downpours create a great deal of noise and limit a turkey's vision. Congregating in open fields, standing in the rain, drastically decreases a predator's ability to sneak up on the flock. So these birds and their behaviors aren't dumb. But how can we actually measure their intelligence? How can we know how smart they actually are? Well, that gets a little more difficult, believe it or not. Intellect. Einstein. Big brains. Humans often put themselves on top of the ladder when it comes to intelligence. And to be fair, I haven't seen any squirrels making computers or any white-tailed deer driving cars recently. So we have some measurable advantages when it comes to comparing intelligence with the rest of the animal kingdom. However, measuring one's intelligence quotient, or IQ, can be difficult. Standardized testing has the ability to showcase many defining characteristics of intelligence, such as memorization, critical thinking, and even fluid thinking, one's ability to interact with novel concepts. However, there are limits to measuring one's true intelligence with an IQ test, even in humans. For example, there are many individuals who have high IQs, but have no rational thinking at all. So taking animal IQ into consideration is a whole different ballgame. You can't ask a turkey to take a written test. They don't speak English or any sapient language, and no thumbs, believe it or not. So there's a lot of hurdles we have to cross. Instead, researchers investigate an animal's ability to problem solve, memorize, learn, socialize, plan, and detect threats, not just react. So, with these concepts in mind, let's take a look at how turkeys stack up in the animal kingdom of intelligence. Problem solving requires memory. So, we'll look at both a turkey's ability to memorize and problem solve together. Believe it or not, turkeys can solve problems. Just maybe not the kind involving rocket science. Still, the challenges they face are no less serious. Locating food, avoiding crafty predators, and managing parasites are all part of daily life. And considering they've been successfully navigating these problems for roughly 2.5 million years, clearly, they're doing something right. For starters, turkeys are remarkably good at using their environment to their advantage. They've been observed manipulating objects within their habitat, occasionally using sticks to reach or pull items closer, but it's actually mundane when compared to one particularly fascinating maintenance behavior. anting. Parasites, fungus, and skin irritation bothers animals just like they bother us. The difference is, we have pharmacies. Wild animals have to improvise. Many birds and even some mammals intentionally disturb ant colonies as a way to treat themselves. When threatened, many ants spray defensive chemicals, and they contain formic acid, which acts as a natural insecticide, fungicide, and antibacterial treatment, while soothing irritated skin. It's basically a wilderness car wash and the medical clinic all wrapped up in a 6-legged package. There are two main forms of anting, active and passive. Turkeys perform the latter. They spread themselves over a colony and allow the ants to crawl across their skin and feathers. To do this consistently, they must remember where suitable nests are located and will return to them repeatedly. So in one behavior, we see spatial memory, environmental awareness, and practical problem solving. The common turkey is starting to look a lot smarter than its reputation suggests. Honestly, somewhere around the level of a very clever golden retriever. Or a dumb cat. Either way, I'm just trying to say, they're smarter than we give them credit for. Unlike cats, the rebellious social loners that they are, turkeys are true social butterflies. They congregate in flocks, averaging anywhere from 10 to 30 individuals, and growing as large as 200 or more, with numbers shifting depending on the season and available resources. Now, when you're living in a large group, social memory and awareness becomes critical. Many animals operate within some form of social stratification. Turkeys are no different. They establish what is known as a pecking order, a dominance hierarchy where individuals assert status, sometimes literally by pecking lower-ranking birds, and by sometimes, I mean often. Humans have something similar. It's called social media. Both systems help define an individual's place in the group. One is measured in likes, the other is measured in not getting pecked in the head. Because turkeys live in tight social groups, they develop impressive recognition skills. Farmers have long observed that domestic turkeys can remember specific human individuals, especially the ones who bring the good snacks. They also recognize members of their flock, their own young, favored allies, and the jerks. Like Jerry. Nobody likes Jerry. Don't be Jerry. Social animals rely on numbers and bonds for survival. They help watch each other's chicks, locate food sources, and keep an eye out for predators. And if a hungry coyote wanders a little too close, well, Jerry might find himself a little less defended. There you go, Jerry. Now you see why no one should want to be Jerry. Turkey's social life isn't built on physical dominance alone. It's vocal, layered, and has some surprising nuance. The iconic turkey gobble is produced by gobblers, male wild turkeys, and also domestic turkeys, during mating season. It serves to attract females and intimidate rival males, but that's just one sound in a much larger vocabulary. If you've ever stood near a flock, you know the truth. They never shut up. Turkeys have multiple vocalizations, including, but not limited to, gobbles, clucks, yelps, and purrs. Each one has a different use and can have some variability depending on context. For instance, as you saw earlier, purrs can be used to simply indicate whether a turkey is feeling pretty good, happy, healthy, and content with the world. However, it's also a vocalization that hens use specifically to help guide chicks. So, it's a kind of 2-for-1 deal for that specific vocalization. Socially, they can rival many mammals, possibly even outperforming a few humans these days. As we've discussed before, turkeys can't write, so any plans they had to deal with the hazards of day-to-day life have to be memorized. Turkeys have been witnessed performing habitual behaviors, finding the best routes through their habitat, identifying prime foraging locations, and selecting reliable roosting sites. Their behavior and daily activities actively change based on their region and the season they find themselves in. That being said, whether this behavior can truly be considered planning and not just highly effective spatial awareness are two different things. After all, these birds aren't exactly plotting to take over the world. In reality, turkeys possess incredible 360-degree vision and are naturally wary due to their position lower on the food chain. Because of this, it's difficult to determine whether they are actively perceiving future threats or simply operating as an instinctually cautious species. That said, having observed these birds firsthand, when their daily routine is disturbed, they will actively alter their habitual behavior if the disruption is significant enough. And it doesn't have to be a habitual disruption. It can just be one significant impact. That suggests something more than simple reaction. Additionally, wild turkeys in areas with higher levels of commercial harvest, hunting, tend to behave more cautiously around humans compared to populations in areas without hunting pressure. Example, just take a look at your turkey out in the wild dealing with the hunting season versus a little flock that's in your suburban neighborhood. I bet the suburban ones will come up and steal acorns from chipmunks. I've seen it. So let's wrap this up with a neat little bow, shall we? Are turkeys dumb? Nah. Based on their observed behaviors, these birds are a bright addition to any ecosystem. The common colloquialisms criticizing their intelligence are simply misunderstandings of survival strategies that have been tried and tested for, once again, 2.5 million years. I'm just saying. But even with all of their survival skills, turkey populations are still facing challenges. Population stability varies from region to region, with some subspecies doing better than others. The overall consensus is that wild turkey populations are declining. Increasing predator populations, habitat degradation, urbanization, and low nesting success rates have all contributed to these decreases. However, through dedicated conservation efforts, effective hunting management, and perhaps just not being a jerk to the big old bird, we can help reverse that decline. So the next time you're out in the woods and you spot one of these massive drumstick dinners, remember, they'll remember you too. Hello, if you've stuck this far into the Suburban Safari episode, I just want to say thank you. This is our first long-form content on the channel, and it took quite a bit, as I bet you can understand. Animations, no matter how small, and research, and actually going out and filming wild turkeys takes a lot of time. So, if you enjoyed our content here on Suburban Safari, do me a favor, alright? Why don't you like, share, subscribe, of course stay tuned, and check out some of our other short-form content. Share it to anyone you think might be interested. And those who aren't. Just, anybody. Thanks.